Okay, Mean Machine, Scott Luscombe here, going over the things that you need for your first track day. Or any track day, because having your shit together is good. So, other than the car, here's what we're gonna need. For me, I like to have extra couplers and T-bolt clamps just in case something pops off, because there are a lot of stress under the car as you go around corners really fast and making sure that everything is good. So just make sure to go through all of the wheels and tires. Make sure if you can take them all off before you go to the track, that's good, to just inspect if there's no bumps or dents or cracks on the inside, because the outside is pretty easy to see, but you never know on the inside. Just make sure the rotors are good. I like to run a little bit less than what is required on the tire, or what the manufacturer's specs are on the tire, so about 5 psi under when they're cold. So these ones are all around 26 psi right now. So moving on, just to keep everything clean, I use just some black latex gloves, rags, paper towel, jack stands. Those are pretty self-explanatory. Oil, I usually have about an oil change worth for each lapping session. Just making sure that every session I go out, that's about 20 minutes to a half an hour, that I check the oil before and after, just to make sure that I'm not burning anything, because the Mustang does like to use oil and gas as we go. Glass cleaner and rapid detailer. Glass cleaner especially because the inside of the windshield, if it's a hot day, you can collect dust as you go along, and it's just nice to have it clean. It also stops any glare and things like that. Okay, impact wrench or gun or whatever you want to call it. Takes the tires off easily. Probably one of the biggest tips for this is that if you're going to remove the tires, or the wheels, sorry, from the car, don't do it right after you've finished your lap. Give it at least 15 minutes to cool down, because I have in the past snapped studs off by just loosening them, because they're so hot that they just, I don't know, bend and break and fatigue and all that cool shit. This is a air compressor. It's for pumping up tires. Just making sure that everything's good and everything's consistent. That's the biggest thing, is just make sure it's consistent. Tire pressure gauge. I don't always trust the electric pump. Oh yeah, the electric pump also has a little light on it, which is also helpful when the supercharger belt comes off if I lock up the rear wheels. Yeah, so it's good to have 2 gauges when you're checking tire pressure, just because, I don't know, I just don't believe in one. Wheelie skateboardy thing, if you want to go underneath the car after. Every once in a while I'll pop off the supercharger belt, so it's just good to have. There's this little mat thing that I also bring with me. It's kind of foamy, and it's got a little Ford Racing logo on it, which is awesome. And that's always good. So just make sure. Tool box. It has tools in it for proof. Here you go. Oh, it's so full. Oh yeah, tools. Beautifully, neatly organized. Little things to adjust the suspension. This tapey thingy that shows height of stuff. Allen keys, wrenches, sockets, all that shit. Oh, here we go. Hammer, other bolts. If you have like bolts that you usually use on the car, just have extras. It's always good. You never know when things snap off. There's a little grease pencil in there too, which I use to mark the tires. More on that in a second. Oh, Scotch tape, that's important. Not really, but anyways, I don't know why it's in there. Oh, okay. So, other than the jack stands, the jack. This one is one badass jack. It's good. Locks here. This handle thing pops out for easy transportation, even though nothing is easy about this because it weighs about 8 million pounds. It's a good low profile jack. It's very, very small, and it gets under the car. And I trust it with my life, because I've had other jacks try to kill me, and this one is really, really good. So, moving on. Fuel. Ooh. Okay, so as far as fuel goes, just make sure to mark it with something that only you will recognize. Putting John on it is not a good idea because there will be about 5,000 of these things at each track day, and it's just good for, I don't know, consistency and knowing what's yours, especially if people are running different fuels, which they always are, and gas at the tank is gas at the track is very expensive. The other thing that is a good tip is okay, that's stupid. There's no thing in there. Let's do this one. Okay, this is the nozzle that you want, the Philly Uppy thing. It is important because the black ones that sometimes come with these suck, and the guy who made them should be lynched. But anyways, that doesn't really matter too much. One tip about these things is that when you're at the track, if they're full, or even if they're empty, you can see actually this one has caved in a bit. When fuel cools, it shrinks significantly, so it'll actually suck it in like this. There's a little bit of gas in all these. But if it's really full, like if you have the full 20 liters, 5.3 gallons, and you leave it out in the sun, these things will blow up like balloons, and then if you open this up, it will all shoot out on you. I may have experience in that, may not, but who knows. Anyways, that's just a good tip. I usually, because these don't have vents on them anymore at the back like they used to, because everyone wants to be environmentally friendly, is just to give it a little bit of a twist and let some of the air out, or yeah, I don't know, fucking whatever, fumes escape. That just makes life so much easier, because you don't want to make a mess of the paddock area like I do every once in a while. Other than that, the car, all you want to do really is just make sure to check it over really well. I usually take it into a shop and just get them to make sure that all the nuts and bolts are nice and tight. So inside the trunk is a fire extinguisher. Always make sure that you have one of those at the track and it's bolted down and secured tightly, and that it's always in range. It should be in the green, and this one is in the green, so that's good. Battery box is very secure, and that's about it for the trunk. Okay, so moving on, inside the car there's a lot of stuff that you should check out and just make sure everything's nice and tight. The steering wheel, that the harnesses are in good shape. The ASM system isn't snapped or torn in any way. Give it a little tug, not too hard, because you don't want to actually activate that, but that's good to have. And just make sure that all these are nicely looped through and everything is good there. And that's about it. Have fun at your track day, drive safe, and go fast.